Hi. Today we're going to talk about traveling with friends. I had promised to talk about this. I was going to give you some tips on that. Um, I'm not going to make the video long today. It's going to be um, quite short. I only have 5 points here, but I have more things to say about that subject because I've made quite a few trips with my friends, and I have a lot of things to say about it. Anyways, um, for now, I'm just gonna keep it at 5 because I need to go to sleep. It's late, and yeah, I'll tackle it in another video. If you enjoy what I do, consider subscribing. Um, if you like the commentaries I do, I make, um, consider donating to support. Okay, there is a link on my profile. Yeah, and under some of my videos. Maybe under this one too. We'll see. So, first, first piece of advice: make a list of what you want and don't want, of what you like and dislike. If you've made like trips by yourself or trips with family, maybe there are certain things that you have noticed that you don't like. Try to think about your pet peeves. Try to think about things that genuinely, genuinely bother you. Whether or not you have communicated that to someone at all. Just something that inside of you, you know that you don't like or that you don't stand. Like, let's say you have lived with your siblings for a while, and you know there's certain things that they do that you don't like. Try to have that clear. And if you are someone who struggle to set boundaries, knowing these things will help you a lot in not only setting these boundaries but also knowing what to do or what could possibly bother you during that trip, um, and know how to respond to that. Because sometimes when you're not conscious of the things you don't like or you don't actively think about that before the trip, certain situations will cut you off guard, and your reaction may not be the one that wish you would wish that you'd have, right? Or maybe you would abandon yourself to kind of make the others comfortable. But if you think about the things that you don't like, and the things that that kind of bother you, it can even be easier for you to kind of like try to have a conversation with your friends before the actual day of that trip, and before you guys actually make big plans and commit. Like, try to see how they move about these things, around these things, like mention them, and see how they react or what they say. Kind of observe them to see if you notice these kind of things in them, or invite them to talk about their pet peeves. This will give you space to talk about your own. And that way, everybody will be kind of aware of everybody's, um, of, each other. Everybody will be aware of um, others' pet peeves. So that's a good thing, okay? The second thing is have a plan for yourself. Even if you are traveling with people, have a plan for yourself. Even if you're planning with them, have a plan for yourself. Meaning, well, two things. Have a plan for yourself and have a plan B in case things go south, which is very possible. So, I mean, these tips, these pieces of advice are kind of general. they're not specific, but in the other videos I will talk about more specific occasions and examples of what I have experienced and what I could tell you about this. Anyways, so um, have a plan for yourself because you're traveling with a group, but there are certain things that the group may want to do that you may not align with. That's one that maybe you don't like. That's two. Or maybe you're interested in something else. You have the freedom to kind of break away. You know what I mean? And do something that you enjoy for yourself. Um, and that doesn't mean that you're gonna spend the whole trip separated from them, but you need to have something that you want to do. You don't want to go to that particular restaurant, go to one another. You know, be considerate of them though. If the goal is to spend the most time that you guys can, you know, together, then prioritize that, but don't feel forced to do anything that you don't want to do. Okay. Third point. Oh, okay. Now I think I'm gonna slide this down to the other. Okay. Third point. Traveling reveals people's real personalities. Traveling reveals people's real personalities because when you travel, you're kind of in a mode where you're more alert, you're more like irritable. I don't know if that's a term, but um, it's like you can get easily frustrated, irritated, um, you know. So it's the same for other people. They're going through a lot. When you are in a different environment, that environment being different is a stress of its own, and that will bring forth different reactions that people don't necessarily have in familiar environments. So be ready to see that person's, I mean, facets of that person's personality that you haven't seen before. That can generate conflicts, you know, fights and stuff like that. So be aware of that and go prepared. Also, this will also reveal, I mean, besides, I mean, one of the reasons why it would lead to conflict sometimes, it's because there's certain negative traits that will pop up. You will see positive traits, for example, someone who is um, extra careful about others, very thoughtful and considerate, helpful, but you will see other people that are very parasitic. I think that's a term, very parasitic, very, I don't know, like entitled. They would want you all to wash the dishes and they won't. You know what I mean? Like they will sit around playing around and yeah, like, you know, so you will find a lot of that. And yeah, so be prepared because you don't know what you're gonna get. And I don't want to put this as if traveling with friends is the worst thing ever. That's not the case. You will have fun too. You can have fun. Make sure you know the people well. Okay, don't be going to trips with just anybody. That would be my recommendations, especially if you're going very far. Okay, you don't have you or the area you're going to, you don't really know people. That's not recommended. Okay. Um, Fourth point, know that sometimes people will associate with other people you may not like. When you go to trips, I was mentioning that in the other video, when you go to trips with friends, Sometimes your friends will associate with other people, so you never really know how that trip will go, especially if other people are going to be involved. Like, for example, I remember I had that trip. I had a trip with some friends where we went to, I think we went to a resort, or like we visited like a restaurant. I don't really remember the entire thing, but there were many of we were many. Okay, we're like 10, 11, maybe 12 people. And so everybody kind of like had like one or two people they kind of brought in. They wanted to like, you know, they wanted these people to join the group, and then you had like two other people. Like you have like maybe five, six, seven people brought in new people, and then we were like, who is this? And then you just kind of have to interact with people that you had not initially, like that you were not thinking of interacting with. So sometimes it's people who are like, they may be fun to be around, or it could be the opposite. So you never really know. Be prepared and kind of see, try to understand what's the vibe of the people you're traveling with. Like, what are they into? What kind of people are they? What are what are their friends like? You know, these are very important questions that you should ask yourself, and you should observe. Yeah. Five, don't be afraid to part ways if you don't like the way it's going. This is something that I regret not doing. I'm not gonna say regret because it's not like I think about it or anything. But if I ever get in a kind of situation like this again, I will leave and go home. Because sometimes it's like, okay, like you don't know how to manage a situation. You don't want to hurt your friends. You don't want to leave them behind. Or at the same time, you don't want to subject yourself to that environment. You don't want to leave certain, like to experience certain things. Like sometimes you just don't want to be there anymore, you know? And also the treatment, depending on the treatment you get to from this particular group, like it's not always the best thing to stick around. You could just leave. And this is also why, like this, I could link this to the second point where I was talking about having a second plan. Like if things go south, don't be afraid to leave. And this is why you should prepare beforehand and have a plan for yourself in case things go wrong. So you know you got your back, you got your own back, and that you can leave. So whenever you make a trip, also don't make a trip on tight money with a very tight budget, because if something happens to you or to your friends or whatever, you're on your own and without money. This is not wise. So make sure that whatever you're gonna spend there, you have double, or at least you have that same amount spared in your account. So you can maybe, like if you're in a hotel, or if you're in a I don't know, in like a shared room, an Airbnb, whatever the case may be, you could easily go to another hotel or another room, another whatever, pay that for yourself and leave the space. Make sure you have enough money for transportation. Like if you need to leave the situation, you have money to call a cab, to or to travel back, whatever it is. Make sure the money you're spending, you also have that money stored, or maybe more, in your account. Okay. And also let people, that would be a sixth point, but let people who are close to you know about your trip and where you're going, what's the plan, okay, where you guys are gonna go, etc., etc. Because remember, like, you never know, okay, and you need people you can rely on, if anything, and people who can also know if anything doesn't go well, they know something is not going well because they know about your trip and what you're doing, etc. So keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right. Okay. That's it. That's it for now. If you have any questions and or if you have experienced anything during your trips with friends, let me know. Okay.